This is another painting of the great painters of Caravaggio. This is the torture that Jesus had just before to be crucified. And that was one of the paintings I was looking in doing the story of Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno was in 1600 one of the greatest Italian philosophers. You know, at that time, there was two major conflicts. Is the earth the center of the world, like everybody was thinking, particularly from the church point of view? Or, like Copernicus was saying, no, the earth is turning around the sun in the universe. Just thinking in this way, Galileo Galilei, one of the greatest scientists in Italy of the same period, was put under an oppression to renounce to his own idea. He knew the science. He invented the telescope to really see what's happened in the universe. It was an heresy thinking this way. We're thinking that Giordano Bruno was thinking not only, yes, is the center of the universe is the sun, the earth is moving around, like Copernicus and Galileo was used to say. But in my opinion, the our Galaxia is one universe. They is part of the infinite number of universe. Can you imagine somebody thinking in 16th century without any scientific element to prove it, to have this idea? And when the church said, do you have to renounce to your idea? He said, no. No. He was burned in a 16th century, just at the turn of the century, 16th, 17th century, in Rome. And only recently the church realized that there was a major mistake. Only recently. Caravaggio was present when at this kind of moment. And he realized that he had to perform in every painting in such way, like many artists were doing, that you have to use symbols to tell the truth. Don't show completely what he was thinking, otherwise he can be condemned. That was the tragedy. The main concept of this film was the fact that they was trying to use something very gray, soft light, almost a kind of a Stasi, no movement. In every scene that that we were filming with the church, in order to tell the mentality of those people at the time with the interpretation they having through the gospel was something that they were stopping the concept or the process of thinking, the process of knowing what's happening in the universe. And any time that I have the scene with Giordano Bruno, there was some kind of, believe me, I was not thinking in a conscious way at Caravaggio, at the painting that I showed you before. But that's exactly what I was doing in an unconscious way. It was totally myself, that painting. So with Giordano Bruno, I was showing the strong beam of light coming in every room, in every place. There was the symbolic element of an intelligence. Light is intelligence. Light is knowledge. Light is will. Light is the way that you want to live. So my conflict into this movie was to show something stillness in every scene, gray, without movement, without shadows, without because shadows means questions. You don't know. Something that you have to light. something that you have to know. So they believed that they knew, but it was a false knowledge. Only Giordano was able to arrive with this incredible idea to change completely their mentality. So sometimes just a little difference between one part of the story, one part of the character can give you the strong concept to read. This is an Italian naive painter, and at that time I was very fan of the painting. It's called Gino Covili. He lived in North Italy. And I was looking at this kind of painting when I was doing 1900. 1900 was probably with Bernardo we were thinking that all the idea that we had in the spider stratagem, the conformists of Lastango were almost united in doing 1900. 1900 is over Gone with the Wind. It's the story of two men. One is a landlord, the other one is a peasant. In beginning of the century, they live in two different levels. One is the patron, one is the worker. So two different working class, let's say. The idea was to visualize a century symbolically in 1 year. So using the season to tell the different moment of our life. So we use the summertime for shooting the children moment, plenty of color, plenty of emotion, innocent emotion in nature. It's very close to the concept that we use in a spider stratagem. Step by step, when they grow up, you go in the fall, when the color are draining, when you can become more conscious of the thing. You go into the winter, when you are an adult, the winter, when the fascists arrive in Italy, till you have the spring, when in our history, we had once again the end of the Second World War finish, and there is a kind of renewing of everything. So we use in the four different period of life in connection with the first stage of our own life. When we are a child, when we are grow up, when we are adult, when we are maturity. So that was the kind of basic concept between them. And when I arrived to Apocalypse Now, let me introduce, well, Apocalypse Now, because this afternoon you're going to see Apocalypse Now. And I will be back after the screening to try to answer to your questions. Francis Coppola saw The Conformist. He loved The Conformist. He realized that there is a new vision into The Conformist. He called me to do this movie. And I say, why me? First of all, this is something that I always felt that we need respect between each other. When I knew that he was working with Gordon Willis, one of the greatest cinematographers in America. He did with Francis did already Godfather Part 1 and Godfather Part 2. And I love the work they did together. And so I didn't realize why Francis wanna call me. And I said, Francis, I feel uneasy. I mean, I love the work you do with Gordon. Gordon Willis, when he came in Italy to film in Sicily, and we met in Technicolor, he was the first cinematographer. I was very young, soon after The Conformist. They shook my hand. I said, "Mi Vittorio, congratulations for the work that you're doing." And that touched me, because he was very sincere. And I know later that Francis Coppola owns a 60mm print of The Conformist. He loved so much the film that he was showing to himself, to their crew or to their friend, anytime they was feel that he need to have some good moment. And Francis said, Vittorio, don't worry, this is not Gordon movie films. He loved to stay more in New York. He loved mainly shooting in studio. This subject is not something that is feel easy to do it. We will work together again with Gordon, but this is not a Gordon movie. And I said that, well, I need to speak with him directly. I was doing that because I was practically respecting Gordon in relation with Coppola, like I felt that somebody should respect myself in relation to Bernardo Bertolucci at the time. And he said to me, okay, don't worry, please come with me and we do in some location in Australia. We know each other better. And I take you to Los Angeles. I organize the meeting between you and Gordon. Only after the meeting with Gordon, you will be clear. I say, well, Francis, there is also another problem for me. What I have to do with in a movie in the war in Vietnam? I normally do a movie with the philosopher Giordano Bruno about the writing of the conformist, talking about the conscious, unconscious, penumbra, symbology, those kind of very subtle elements that I don't think that what I can do in a war movie. And he said, no, Vittorio, this is not a war movie. I would like to do a story about the concept of civilization, something that has never been told the truth about civilization. Please read Earth of Darkness from Joseph Conrad. There is the principle of the apocalypse now. Read that book, come in a sitting with me. You will tell me what you think about the concept of Conrad, the apocalypse now. You meet Gordon, and after we spoke. And he was right. That was a direction they gave me as a director. The kind of way I'm supposed to prepare myself in that direction. I read the book and I realized that there was a universal concept into the book. When one country, one civilization, go on top to another country, another civilization, is making an act of violence. Even if they think they are bringing civility, even if they think they are bringing good faith also. Good, but without any doubt, there is something, an over-imposition top to another culture. And I said to me, oh, myself, but this is exactly what I can, it's fantastic to visualize into this incredible canvas of Apocalypse Now, the chance they can have to use artificial light on top to natural light, artificial color on top to natural color, creating a kind of visual world in order to expressing the story. Without any doubt, that's the kind of principle that I should have. But not only that. Without any doubt, when Francis of the Conformist saw the scene, I will show you before an image of the Conformist, when the leading character meets his own teacher in Paris, and they speak about the one specific concept that I will tell you tomorrow. It's about the Plato myth of the cave. There is a principle of knowledge about reality and interpretation. And without any doubt, the last sequence of Apocalypse Now that you will see this afternoon, again, because I imagine you saw already, with Marlon Brando into his own temple, there is some kind of relation with that myth. Without any doubt, Francis called me mainly to visualize that sequence. When we spoke about this when I arrived in Sydney and I met with Francis, Francis is a wonderful man, fantastic man. He has a mind that you cannot believe how large is his mind, in the sense they can really talking about something very sensitive about culture. At the same time, I have a vision like a Moloch. He's already 10 times in front to you thinking what he can do in different area. It's like cars somehow. And we spoke about the concept. It's a moment he felt uneasy on his back because he had the polio when he was a kid. And suddenly into his suite in the hotel, he sit on the floor, and I couldn't sit on the couch because he was on the floor. So I went to the floor myself. I found myself speaking a very simple English. My English at the time was much more simple than now. He was not speaking Italian, and we were talking about the main principle of life, civilization, Conrad, Apocalypse Now. Why? Because we're talking the same language, talking language of cinema. And I was trying step by step to expressing this concept, how we can visualize cars as a symbol and not as a human being. And Francis loved it. Not only that, I brought to Francis the painting of not only, this is Rousseau, Il Doganiere, he's a French painter. He's a naive French painter. But there is a kind of mystery in this jungle. I mean, you see his eyes of this woman over here. Is a kind of, the jungle means the primitive, means the unconscious. When the two characters are going to the jungle, they are completely scared by the tiger that coming out from the gun. And they are so scared, they escape everywhere. The tiger is a symbol of our primitive element into ourselves. So there is, in Francis' mind, there was always the chance that people like American people in the 60s, arriving in a place like the jungle of Philippines, they will always see practically weeding back to our past almost. See where the principle in nature is about human being. So the idea of this conflict between two elements was completely important to visualize, but at the same time, I know that we shouldn't be some kind of realistic. You saw for sure Platoon, the movie that was done in the Philippines, in Vietnam. It was done with a completely different style. It was more like a documentary that they used, which was an interpretation, fine. But we had a completely different one. I want to show you one painting. Yes.